It's a beautiful day. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a beautiful day. Yeah, yeah, yeah. When trouble seems to rain on my dreams, it's not a big deal. Let it wash all the bugs off my windshield. 'Cause you're showing me that in you I'm free.
Good evening, Bahamas. You're watching Family Empowerment UTV, where the lives of youths are celebrated throughout the length and breadth of Grand Bahama. I'm your host, Reverend Wayne Carey, and it's always a pleasure to be able to come into your homes. I'm so excited. Today I have a special guest, a young man all the way from New York. Not from New York, but he's a part of the whole Man Christian Center family, Angelo, and we are so glad to have him as a guest on our program today. So I want you to stay tuned and be blessed.
I'm about to get my worship on. Take me.
Good evening, I'm Reverend Wayne Carey here. We're over at Whole Man Christian Center in the beautiful island of Freeport, Grand Bahama. Again, you're watching Family Empowerment UTV, where the lives of youths are celebrated. I have with me a special guest, a good man, Angelo. Come on, put your hands together for Angelo. It's good to have you on our program.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Honestly, man, I want you to know that I'm so proud of you. I'm proud of you to see your development as a young man. I always go back thinking about our conversation on the bus at the Royal Line. And the bus is filled. Myself and you were talking in the back, and from a kid, you always had a focus, and you held a conversation as a young man, as a young boy. And I've seen you develop. And for me, as a guidance counselor, work in the school system, see a lot of negativity that goes on, in particular with a lot of young people. And for you as a young man, you just came out of school about 3 years ago, graduated about 3 years ago, and all of the negativity that went on while you were in school. What brought you to this point? How did you make it? How did you navigate through all of that negativity? And now you're at this point in your life. What transpired?
Well, like you said before, I've always been focused, and I think that's one of the main things that allowed me to reach to this point so far. I've always been focused on, I've always knew what I wanted to do. I always knew where I had to go, and I know what I had to do to get where I need to go. And along with me being focused, I always had support, like yourself. I always had my parents, I've always had my pastor. So anytime, like, say, I made a slip or I might have go off course a little bit, there's always someone to guide me and pick me back up and stay me back on the right path. And I think that's very important in developing into a young man like myself. So I really thank God for that, and I thank God for the progress that I've made so far.
Awesome, man. One of the things also too, man. When you mentioned your dad, your mom, Pastor Roberts, myself, and how important would you say that mentoring is to young persons right now? Mentoring a young person that's growing up, they want they want to achieve success. How important you would say that mentoring is for a young person right now?
Well, to be honest, I think it's very, very important because as a young person coming up in this world, you really need guidance and you really need help, because some things you think that you could handle, or some things you think that you could do on your own, you really can't. And I just thank God. I always gotta thank God, thank God for my parents and my pastor and yourself, because my father, he's always been a role model to me, and I thank God that he allowed me to be in a family where there's a mother, a dad, and we all live in the same house and under the same roof, because I know in the Bahamas today that's becoming something that's not so common anymore, because that's one of the main things I think that a lot of young people now are going astray and getting into trouble and things like that. So just having the family and the support and the mentors and everything, you really need that, because you need the help.
Valuable points that you're making. I remember again in the school system, very valid point that you made. In the school system, I'm sitting down, and I had a session had a session with about 25 kids working at Program Shaw. And while I'm doing that, I'm sitting down with, I would say, 22 to 25 kids, and I'm talking to them. I'm counseling them. You know, we got a group session going on, and I realized that I was not getting through to them. And I was like, so I went in my office, sat down, and I began to say to myself, I said, I'm not getting through to these kids. And so what came to my mind was, ask them if they came from a, so to speak, like you say, a normal family. And so what I was doing, I was talking from, you know, I live with my mom, my dad, I got 6 brothers, 3 sisters, and we live in a home. So I'm saying that as, hey, that's the way it's normal. And so I went to them again and I said, okay, guys, this is what I want you to do for me. How many of you, answer this question, how many of you live in a home with mommy and daddy together in the home? And out of the 23 to 25 persons, one kid said to me, I live with my mom and dad. Grandmother, aunt, big sister is like, and I understand that. And so when we look in our society today, that's where some of the menaces begins. Those persons who don't have that family, you know, that family structure, you know, and your father, you know, to highlight your dad too. I remember watching television, and your dad is a cop on the Royal Bahamas Police Force. Very astute young man, smart, you know, intelligent, very good with people. And so we're sitting down, we're watching TV, watching the television, and they have a town meeting. And so, you know, everyone is there in the community, the high ranks on the force, Mr. Greenslade and all the other ones there. And so, but you had persons out of the community, and your father didn't ask anyone to say that. And so this one young man got up and said, you know, so I just want to say this, you know, so I was locked up, and I went to the station, and some of your officers, you know, they handed me like I was not even a human being. And he pointed out your father and said, see that man over there? He was the one that was human, that treated me like a human being, was very respectful to me, and you know, gave me my rights and talked to me as a human being. And so I could see where the chip doesn't fall far from the block. You know what I mean? Your father, your mom, they're great people, and I'm sure they instilled in you, and it's shown. And so, again, I'm proud of you, my brother. Proud of you. And so, but back to you. I want you to tell me about what I'm asking this question because I believe that there are some kids out there who are interested in going off to school. Okay? I don't know if you remember the story, but if you forgot, I'll remind you, right? But there are young persons right now who are in the 12th grade who they're interested in going off to college. Okay? Tell me your process. What 12th grade, what happened in terms of, give me the whole 9 yards in terms of you getting a scholarship and going away to school.
Okay, well, before we get to the 12th grade, I honestly want to say the process doesn't only start there. The process starts from before, because you have to be prepared in order to set yourself up to be, to put yourself in a position to get a scholarship or to be accepted into school. But for me, the main college part, it started in grade 12. Like on the first day or first week of school, my guidance counselor, Miss FEYTV Campbell, she came to our classroom and she was like, well, this is the last year for y'all, so it's either y'all going to college or y'all going to work or whatever. So we have to start now. We have to prepare y'all to lead on your life afterwards. And it's funny because that was one of the first interactions I've ever had with her at that school, and she's been there for quite some time. And just as she came to the classroom and she spoke with us, after that meeting, I went to her and I was like, well, Miss Campbell, I want to go to college, but I don't know where to start. And she just, from there, she started to guide me, and she told me, well, you want to go to this, what's it? The college fair, and you want to go to. So she just started us off with going to college fairs, and then one of the main things that she told us, she said, whether you going off to school or you staying here, your first college you always want to apply to is COB here in the Bahamas. And she said, just in case you get accepted and you're ready to go and something happens, you don't want to just fall back and say, wow, I don't have anything to go to, so you go to COB. And my process, to me, I think is three things in the whole process that helped me. And it was one, the guidance part. My guidance counselor, she just showing me the way because I didn't know where to go. And then two, it was the support. So yeah, you want to go to college, but I understand that's you. But do you have people behind you, backing you, with every step you take, and ensuring that you get to where you need to go? And then on top of that, then the next point is being able to take some risks. And I say risk because before I got accepted into the school, before all of that started, Miss Campbell, she was back and forth with different schools, and she reached out to the vice president at the time for my college now, Monroe College, and she found out that he was going to be in Nassau on, let's say, the weekend. I think it was about a Sunday evening or something, and this was like a Friday evening, like 2 o'clock, 2:30, right before school was about to end. And she called a few of us in her office, and she said, listen, the vice president is going to be here. He's going to be in Nassau. I need y'all to meet with him. This isn't something we planned like for weeks. Or this is like literally like the day, like an hour or so before school closed for the weekend. So she sat with us and she said, listen, you have a chance to get a scholarship. A chance. It isn't guaranteed. But if you go there and impress the guy, then you could get a scholarship. So I said, Miss Campbell, and I'm interested. So, but I don't know how to relate this to my father. So I said, I'm gonna need you to call him. And she sat there and she spoke with him. She said, okay, Angelo, you done, you straight. And just like that, that's how the process started for me, because it's kind of a risk. You taking yourself and you putting yourself out there, but you don't know if it's guaranteed. So sometimes you have to take risk in order to get the reward. But I guess that was a calculated risk, and I just thank my parents for backing me, even though I might not get the scholarship, or I might not have go as well as I wanted to go. But just the mere fact that they were there through it with me and say, even if it don't happen, I'm gonna still back you because I believe in you, and that's very important. And that's how my process started. And so after that happened, and like the guidance part, she just kept leading us through it step by step, and sooner or later I was in school and full scholarship. So yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. That's good. That's good. But there's a part that I'm going to remind you of, and I think you know what I'm going to say.
Yes.
Yeah, we were actually at the college fair, and so while we at the college fair, I'm walking around and kind of just looking at my students, make sure they check every university that was there. And so you and the giant, you came to me and you was like, Brother Wayne, say, man, yes, I forgot my portfolio home. I said, what? You forgot your portfolio home? I said, let's go get it. So we drove home. Remember that? We drove home, we got it back, and you was able to present it.
Yes.
And so that's that. Matter of fact, going to college fairs, that's one of the most important things that you don't want, persons. And I'm intentionally saying it because I'm sure there is some 12th graders who are out there, you're looking at school, and I think your story would definitely be able to help them to take risk and, and look at the support that they have and kind of just go from there. Now, so you did mention you were in, what's the name of the university you're in now?
Monroe College in New York.
And that's in New York. And you are, what year are you now in school?
This is my junior year, the ending of my junior year. I have 3 more semesters, and I'm expected to graduate 2018 June.
2018. Year. It was just like last year you got a scholarship. It can't be that quick. Is it already?
Yes, sir.
Wow. But again, congratulations and continue to work. So what was that in terms of your with your transition from high school to Monroe? Give me the first year up to now.
The transition, I'd say the transition was pretty smooth, because I realize now that some of the things that I learned in high school But most of the things that I learned in high school, I was able to carry it over into college with me, because in high school I learned how to be a hard worker. I learned how to be an effective listener. I've learned how to be respectful. I've learned all these things, and all those things I was able to carry over with me. So as simple as me completing my assignments 3 or 4 days before the due date, stuff like that. And because I was able to do that, I was able to have a lot of free time on my hands. So like every time I get an assignment, I would do it. And when I think about it, I mean, it felt so easy because I was using my time wisely.
Wow.
And that's one of the most important things I'd say for anybody going into college. If you don't already have the work ethic and the discipline, I'd say you need to get with it very quickly. Because if you take those simple steps, you'll be able to breeze through. Well, I wouldn't say breeze through, but it would be a lot easier and a lot smoother process.
When you talk about management, time management and discipline, and we see it a lot of times in school when persons are getting ready for BJC and they got to do their coursework, and the teacher is behind them, kind of it's like the last minute. The kids are still working and just cramming things and putting it together. And so you're saying your discipline was developed before you got there.
Yeah.
And so it would be harder for those persons who don't have discipline and don't have time management.
Right.
When they go off to school, it could be like where they could get just swallowed up.
This would be your first time living on your own per se. This would be your first time experiencing so many different things that you just get sidetracked and you really forget the main purpose that you're here. So, I mean, just like small things like being focused and not allowing yourself to let other people determine what you have to do. Like, say, for example, you want to go with your friends, right? But you have an assignment. More than likely, I mean, if you go with your friends, you have to do your assignment like in a rush. So do your assignment before, so that when your friends come and you want to go with your friends, you have a lot of time to do that. And it could get, I mean, I wouldn't say it's easy, but for me it feels like natural because I've practiced it for so long. But like learning it, it's very, it may be hard, but it's very worth it.
Everything that you're talking about, it has to do with leadership.
Right.
And you're saying you are a leader and not a follower, because you got persons, we went to school, and I mean, when we got off to school, it's like, hey, Friday's a pajama party. Everyone looking at each other, hey, what you gonna do? I say, okay, you all go, I'm gonna stay. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, it's a discipline that we need to be successful in college, and that discipline is gonna, from college, it's gonna take you into the real world, and most likely you're gonna be successful in that too. That's another point I want to make. In terms of your study, what are you studying? And after school, after you finish college, are you going to be a Bahamian citizen? Or are you going to stay in the U.S. and become American bride? What are you going to do, my friend?
Well, that's a really good question, because a lot of people around me, they're like, this place right now ain't nothing happening. And I mean, even though I'm not here, like most of the time I'm in the United States, I still have friends, I still have family, and I know the situation that's here. And I mean, I see that when the class is coming up, when they graduate, a lot of them